after giving birth to the baby. Leo's mother is taking care of me during my confinement today. Tomorrow, my mother will take care of me. There is no conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Nor is there any family quarrel. Nothing special. My husband is rich and I am sweet-tongued. There is nothing that can't be solved by a red envelope and a sweet word. Jindo unt auntie and gave birth to 4 little kittens. 2 big oranges are running around with 4 little oranges. After my son was born and my confession failed, I forcibly kissed the aloof school grass on the spot. Later, the school grass blocked me in a corner. His eyes were faintly red at the corners. And his voice was hoarse. Let you kiss. Don't go. I forcibly kissed Leo, the top student in grade, in the school grass, in the school corridor, and was caught on the spot by the dean. At that time, under the instigation of my best friend Vicky, I rushed up to confess to Leo. Unexpectedly, I was rejected on the spot. Just when I was about to slink away with my tail between my legs, Vicky hid aside and frantically winked at me and mouthed words. Go. Go. My mind suddenly heated up. I turned around and looked at Leo resolutely. Then, in his shocked gaze, I grabbed his collar and kissed him. Unfortunately, in just these 3 seconds, I was caught red-handed by the dean. Now I am being criticized in the principal's office. You tell me, how could you do such a thing? The principal was extremely distressed. As a girl, in broad daylight, it's immoral. It's really outrageous. That's right. It's really outrageous. The dean chimed in. Tell me why you want to act indecently towards Leo? I looked melancholy. Because I don't want to live anymore. The principal's face darkened, and he slapped the table. Speak properly. The dean also slapped the table. That's right. Speak properly. I silently took out a bottle of sleeping pills from my pocket and placed it on the table. The entire office suddenly fell silent. My grades are poor. If I am still at the bottom this semester, I may not be able to go to school next semester. I am under too much pressure. I showed the peak of my acting skills in my life. My tone was choked, and I raised my hand to wipe away non-existent tears at the corner of my eye. On that day, the principal and the dean earnestly persuaded me for a full 3 hours in the office. I still looked depressed. Finally, they called Leo and earnestly told him to take good care of me, especially to help me with my studies. Unexpectedly, I got a blessing in disguise and became Leo's desk mate. I was so happy that I held back my laughter for the whole morning, for fear that the teacher would see that I was not depressed. In fact, that bottle of sleeping pills is a prank candy I bought online. I hope the principal and the dean don't have the habit of taking sleeping pills for fun. During the break, I took the just distributed math test paper and smilingly approached Leo. Pointing to a big problem, I said, Leo, can you explain this problem to me? I don't know how to do it. Leo is a pure high cold flower. He is usually extremely indifferent to everyone. But this time, the principal and the dean personally told him to help me with my studies. He can't ignore me anymore, right? Sure enough. He glanced at the test paper, picked up a pen and wrote on it while explaining. His brows were slightly furrowed and his tone was cold. But it didn't affect his handsomeness at all. Even his voice was pleasant. With such a close beauty attack, I almost fainted. Who can still listen to what he is saying? I propped my chin and stared directly at his face. Why are you looking at me? Look at the test paper, he said coldly. I grinned like a female hooligan easing a good man. You are handsome. Snap. Suddenly, everything in front of me turned white. A test paper was slapped on my forehead, blocking my view of admiring beauty. Is it as beautiful as your 43-point test paper? I trembled, and the smile on my face instantly collapsed. Damn it. How can a person with a body temperature of 37 degrees say such cold words? For after school, Vicky held me with a gossipy look. Summer. It's been a day. How's it going now? Has the baby been born? What's the name? Has kindergarten graduated? What grade is in primary school? Which junior high school will you go to? How many points did you get in the college entrance examination? I touched my chin and said deeply, I have already thought of the baby's name and where to go to kindergarten. It's just that he hasn't agreed to have a baby with me yet. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw Leo pass by me. He seemed to have glanced at me. Did he hear it? I blushed immediately and buried my head in Vicky's arms. Help! It's so embarrassing. I'm dead. 5 after waking up. I am a hero again. Yesterday? What happened yesterday? Why don't I remember? On the way to school, I summarized my failure experiences during this period. After serious reflection, I decided to change my style. Since he doesn't like wild ones, then I'll try the gentle route. During lunch break, Leo is playing basketball. The teenager is wearing a white short-sleeved shirt, running and flying on the basketball court, freely sweating. A beautiful three-pointer drew continuous screams from the girls on the sidelines. Goodness! Who wouldn't be dazzled by this scene? No. I have to be calm. Today I am taking the gentle route. I can't shout and scream like those girls without any image. After he finished playing, I was the first to rush up, put on my most gentle smile that I thought I had, and handed over the prepared Coke. Leo, do you want some water? The teenager still had beads of sweat on his forehead and neck, shining crystal clear in the sunlight. He seemed to be glowing. He glanced at me. No. Several of his brothers came over and knowingly bumped his shoulder. Brother Chang. Introduce. Is this your girlfriend? The smile on the corner of my mouth couldn't be suppressed at all. I said to the boy who spoke, be brave. Be bolder. Remove the word ma. Several people immediately showed respect and bowed to me. Hello. Sister-in-law. Hello. Sister-in-law. For a while, the voices of calling sister-in-law were heard one after another. I couldn't help but feel a little hot on my face. The cat is kneading milk on my son, and I am counting red envelopes. Leo is beside me, hurriedly helping me take the bag and pack. Leo swept a cold look over. What are you yelling for? Is it endless? Several boys immediately fell silent, but still did not forget to wink at me. 6 after Leo finished speaking, he turned around and left with a basketball in one hand. I hurriedly followed him. Leo, aren't you thirsty after playing basketball for so long? No. I specially bought you a Coke. I've been waiting for you for so long that my hands are getting weak. Have some. Then throw it away. How can you be willing to throw away such delicious Coke? He walked into the sports equipment room and put the basketball on the shelf. I still followed him. It's really delicious. Have some. I'll open it for you. Are you done? He turned around impatiently. I just opened the Coke, and then heard a puff. The Coke sprayed out like crazy and drenched Leo all over. Suddenly, a terrifying silence fell in the equipment room. Leo looked at me and I looked at Leo. This Coke. I shook it in my hand for too long just now. Summer. Are you sick? Leo couldn't bear it anymore and roared. Sorry. I didn't mean it. I'll wipe it for you. With a mournful face, I hurriedly reached out to wipe it. His t-shirt was all wet from top to bottom and was tightly sticking to his body at the moment, outlining beautiful muscle lines. I wiped it randomly on it, and suddenly paused. A bold thought popped into my head uncontrollably before I had time to think about it carefully. Almost subconsciously, I gently pinched it. It was firm and elastic. This shape. This feel. It's so sexy. As if by magic. I couldn't help but want to pinch it a second time. But my hand was pulled up by Leo. Summer. That's enough. I looked up in a daze and saw the blue veins on Leo's temple faintly visible. Suddenly, there was a rush of heat in my nose. Leo's originally furious handsome face immediately turned into shock. I raised my hand and touched it. It was full of blood. I actually have a nosebleed. 7 Look up. Higher. Leo held the top of my head with one hand, and held my chin with the other, making me look up. But my nosebleed still couldn't stop and flowed everywhere. Leo, am I going to bleed to death? Won't I be the first student in one middle school to die from a nosebleed since its establishment? Wow, Yushu. I cried shamelessly. I'm so spineless. I actually had such a bad nosebleed because I saw Leo's abdominal muscles. My image in front of him was completely ruined. Idiot. Leo cursed. But then turned around and squatted down in front of me. Come on. I'll carry you to the school infirmary. I immediately jumped onto his back like a rabbit and hugged his neck tightly. What's that old saying? Double happiness comes? Oh no. It's that blessings and misfortunes depend on each other. Although I lost a lot of blood, Leo carried me. I lay on his back, bleeding and secretly smirking. He carried me out of the equipment, ran into his brothers, who were playing basketball together. Several people were startled by this scene. Oh my god. What's going on? Brother Chang. Are you guys a bit too intense? Too bloody and too rough? They exclaimed in succession. I buried my head in shame on Leo's back. Don't block the way, Leo said. And several people quickly got out of the way. I was carried to the infirmary by him. And the school doctor was also startled. What's going on? The school doctor asked while treating. I accidentally bumped into the wall. I dodged my eyes. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Leo suddenly smile beside me. But when I looked at him, he had a look of disgust again. I don't know if it was my illusion just now. Gossip is terrifying. Gossip is terrifying. In just one class period, the whole school knew that when I was with Leo, my nosebleed flowed like the Huangji Oshu waterfall. Xiao. I don't want to live anymore. It's so embarrassing. Wow, you Oshu. I wailed, lying on Vicky's shoulder. Vicky laughed while patting my back to comfort me. It's okay. It's okay. What's the big deal? It's just a nosebleed. Who hasn't had one? That is. I also kind of want to know what you saw in the equipment room that made you bleed so much. I cried even louder. What can I do? Can I tell others that I just touched Leo's abdominal muscles through his clothes and had so much nosebleed? So spineless. 9 because it was too embarrassing. I didn't have the nerve to see Leo anymore. For several days in a row, as soon as class was over, I slipped out of the classroom. After school, I hurried home. I didn't even dare to stay with him. I didn't dare to ask him questions either. But what should I do? I like Leo so much. Hiding from him like this makes me more sad than anyone else. This has caused me to be in a very bad mood recently. Every day, I am either in a daze in the toilet, or sighing in the corridor, either full of resentment in the corner, or full of sorrow in the stairwell. Unexpectedly, all of this was seen by the observing dean. A few days later, he called me and Leo into the office together. In a kind, friendly, and caring tone, he persuaded and taught patiently. Let me not give up hope. There are still many beautiful things in this world worth looking forward to. Also ask Leo to care more about and help his classmates. Be united, friendly, and develop in an all-round way in morality, intelligence, physical fitness, aesthetics, and labor. 2 hours later, finally, with a kind of self-moved loving eyes, we were allowed to leave the office. 10 after coming out, I saw Leo's face as dark as a cloud-covered top, and his eyes seemed to be killing. He slammed me against the wall, in my expectant and nervous eyes. He ground his teeth and said, Summer, can't the dean be your dad? I swallowed and shook my head. No. I guess he has seen too many news about middle school students jumping off buildings. He looked down at me. Why are you blushing? I immediately cupped my face with both hands to block it. Is there? No, right? You are mistaken. Come on. You are so close to me. With such beauty in front of me. Can I not blush? My heart is almost exploding. Okay? Oh no. He won't hear my heartbeat. Will he? Just when my mind was in a mess, Leo suddenly curved his lips. Wait. He is smiling, right? This time I'm not mistaken. Right. But before I could confirm it again, in the next second, he had already turned around and left. I looked at his back and it took me a long time to calm down. I feel that I am full of life again. Dean. You are my god. 11 Leo is seriously explaining the questions to me. As I listened, my thoughts unconsciously drifted away again, and I stared at him in a daze. He is very close to me. I can even smell the faint fragrance on him. It seems to be faintly taking my soul away. Help! Why does it even smell so good? This man is too alluring. No wonder there were so many doting fatuous emperors in ancient times. If I were the emperor, I would also spoil minister concubine to death. Suddenly, a pen tapped on my forehead. Leo said impatiently, "Are you still listening?" I quickly lowered my head to look at the exercise book. I'm looking at it. Then tell me how to do this question just now. This one about hyperbolic functions. He pointed to a fill-in-the-blank question with the pen in his hand. Hyperbola? In my eyes. Where is there any hyperbola? Ah. No, I mean this hyperbola. Another tap on the forehead. 12 I pouted and rubbed my head. This guy is really too harsh. What are you thinking about all day long? I looked at him, aggrieved. Lie. Aren't I thinking about you all day long in my mind? He suddenly paused. His face slightly changed, and immediately turned around, took out his phone, and started playing games. Leo, why don't you explain to me anymore? I'm wrong. I will listen carefully this time. I will never look at you again. I promise. I quickly admitted my mistake by pulling his sleeve. If you don't look at me, who do you want to look at? His tone suddenly became stronger and sounded a bit fierce. Why is this person getting angry for no reason? I was a bit confused for a moment. I mean, when you explain the questions to me, I don't look at you. At other times, I still have to look. My voice got smaller and smaller. At the end of that sentence, I had no confidence at all, and my voice was as soft as a mosquito. While speaking, I carefully looked at him. I thought he would be angry, but his expression actually eased up. But he didn't talk to me anymore and continued to turn his head and play games. Why still not explaining? I looked at him pitifully and didn't dare to speak, afraid that he would be angry. I wrote the solution process on your draft book. Look at it yourself. If you don't understand, ask me again. He added a sentence, his eyes still not leaving the phone screen. Oh. 13 I don't know which predecessor martyr once told us that if there is no opportunity, we must create an opportunity in order to catch up with Leo. No. I mean in order to chase after Leo. I rack my brains every day thinking about how to create opportunities. Seeing that he rides his bike home after school every day. I spent a whole weekend learning to ride a bike. On Monday morning, my pink flower basket bike has already appeared next to Leo's black fixed gear bike. In the evening, I unlocked my bike next to Leo. With an exaggerated expression, what a coincidence. Leo, we can meet here. Let's go home together. Where do you live? He glanced at me with an expression of looking at an idiot and didn't speak. He got on his fixed gear bike and left. Hey! Wait for me. I quickly chased after him on my little pink bike. Why are you following me? Leo frowned in disgust. I chuckled. It's on the way. It's on the way. Do you know where I live and you say it's on the way? I'm on the way no matter where you live. Even if you live on Mars. I'm on the way. I feel like there seemed to be a few black lines hanging on Leo's head. Then he suddenly sped up. Leo, don't ride so fast. Wait for me. I shouted and chased desperately. Unfortunately, my bike is not as fast as his fixed gear bike. Plus, I just learned to ride a bike and my skills are poor. After chasing for a while, seeing him riding farther and farther away. I stepped on it hard in a hurry. Without holding the handlebars steadily, I directly fell by the side of the road. Ah! I let out a miserable cry. The fixed gear bike in front made an emergency brake. Leo looked back at me, with a handsome face without expression. He stepped on the bike and came back. He propped up the bike with one leg and stopped abruptly in front of me. I was almost instantly killed by his handsomeness. 14. Did you die from the fall? He said impatiently. So cold. But last time I saw a girl crash her bike in front of him. He didn't even take a look. Now he is willing to come back and care about me. Does it mean that I am a bit different? Well, caring about whether I'm dead or not is also a kind of care. Right? With tears in my eyes, I hugged my leg and looked at him. It hurts so much. Leo. My leg might be broken. He got off his fixed gear bike and checked my leg. He pinched my calf and pulled it. I immediately screamed in pain. Go to the hospital, he said. How? I looked at his fixed gear bike. There was no back seat. This place is a bit remote and it's not easy to get a taxi. Our gazes fell on my little pink bike at the same time. 15. Sitting on the back seat of my little pink bike. I looked at the waist of the young man so close at hand. Although it was hidden under the loose t-shirt, I could still feel that it must be very thin and tight and powerful. I swallowed. Leo. Can I hold on to you? No. He refused without any emotion. But what if I fall again? You won't die from falling. Woo woo. Why is he so cold-blooded? Then I can't break both my legs. Can I? He was impatient. Why do you talk so much? If you don't hold on, I'll start pedaling. So that means I can hold on? Yay! I cheered in my heart and immediately hugged his waist tightly. As expected. It's so thin. The young man who was pedaling suddenly stiffened. Do you want to strangle me? Oh. Sorry. I'm just afraid of falling again. I explained guiltily, and quickly loosened my grip a bit. But my two arms were still firmly wrapped around his waist. I felt that the young man in front of me seemed to take a deep breath and didn't say anything else. He started pedaling and set off. 16. I couldn't help but think of the scene I saw in the sports equipment room that day. Now his abdominal muscles are right under my hand. I really want to pinch them again. No, no, no. Summer. You have to be calm. You're not a female hooligan. If you pinch him, you might be kicked off the bike directly. Forget it. I can endure it. It's just beauty. Right? It's not like I haven't seen it before. After a whole journey of inner struggle, we finally arrived at the hospital entrance. Leo stopped. And then I heard his murderous voice. You've been tickling me all the way. Haven't you had enough? Me. It turned out that while I was struggling all the way about whether to pinch him or not, my fingers were unconsciously moving. And then I tickled his waist all the way. Kill me. What an embarrassing situation. I quickly let go of my hand and jumped off the back seat, even forgetting the pain in my leg. I didn't mean it. I felt my face burning as if it were on fire. Why didn't you remind me just now? Leo suddenly coughed violently, looking a bit unnatural. After coughing a few times, he reached out and pulled my arm. What are you standing there for? Let's go. 17. After the doctor examined the injury on my leg, he looked at me with a solemn expression and said, Fortunately, you came early. I was immediately scared and trembled. I asked timidly, Doctor Uncle, what do you mean? Is my leg really broken? The doctor glanced at me and said slowly, If you had come a little later, the wound would have healed. The expression on my face that was about to cry immediately froze, and I was petrified on the spot. After a long time, I awkwardly pulled the corner of my mouth and forced a few dry laughs. Uncle? You are so humorous. I saw Leo standing by the wall with his arms crossed over his chest on one side. He was trying so hard to hold back his laughter that his face was almost red. All right. All right. If you want to laugh, just laugh. Laugh me to death. Woo woo. I don't want to live anymore. Why am I always the one who is embarrassed? The doctor typed on the computer and prescribed medicine. It's just a little scratch. There's no big problem. I'll prescribe some iodine and band-aids for you. Go and apply them yourself. 18. I was sitting on a bench in the hospital garden. The young man squatted in front of me and carefully applied medicine to me. Although I begged him hard to do this. But Leo is applying medicine to me. I feel like I'm about to faint from happiness. A head of thick and fluffy black hair was right in front of me. The breeze blew, and the bangs on his forehead swayed slightly. I really want to rue it. Hold back. I quickly reached out and pinched my philtrum. I can't really faint. Leo put a band-aid on me and put the remaining medicine back into the bag and threw it at me. He said impatiently, "What are you still standing there for? Let's go." So fierce. Well, can you take me home? I secretly looked at him and observed his reaction. He glared at me. Okay. It seems that he can't. I drooped my head in disappointment. Address. I was startled. I suddenly raised my head and widened my eyes, staring at him blankly. Does this mean he's going to take me home? Am I not misunderstanding? If you don't say it, forget it. No. 32. Building 3. Jingsai Yuan. 12 Huixing Road. I shouted out my home address at the fastest speaking speed of my life, which attracted the sideways glances of passers-by. I quickly hid behind Leo in disgrace and was then pulled out by him pressing on my head. Walking out of the hospital, Leo stopped a taxi, lifted my little pink suitcase and put it in the trunk. Then he stuffed me into the back seat and slammed the door shut. He said to the driver, "No. 12 Huixing Road. Splendid homeland." Unexpectedly, the driver was so obedient. As soon as Leo finished speaking, he stepped on the gas and rushed out. I didn't even have time to say a word. Only a long and distant wail was left in the air. "You said you would send me off." 19 After chasing Leo for so long, I haven't captured him yet. But my academic performance has improved a lot. I made a remarkable progress of 200 places in this monthly exam. From the 1,199th place to the 999th place. From a 4-digit number to a 3-digit number. It can be said that there is a qualitative leap. The dean of students smiled even more comfortingly than my mom. The flower on the high peak is indeed hard to get. You've been chasing him for more than 2 months and still haven't achieved any results. This won't do. On the way to the restroom with me arm in arm, Vicky, like a shrewd strategist, frowned, rubbed her chin with one hand, and finally came to a conclusion. "You need to take some drastic measures." I looked at her expectantly. How? How drastic? Isn't there the school anniversary celebration next month? You go up and perform a talent show. Amaze him, charm him to death, and then directly pounce on him. Directly pounce. Pounce? That's not very good. Is it? We are high school students. Vicky gave me a supercilious look. Do you want to see what expression you have now? If I didn't hold you back, I'm afraid you would go and devour him on the spot. I picked at my finger. I only have the guts but not the courage. Alas. Who would have thought that Leo is so deliciously handsome? You are so useless. Vicky continued. Well, first charm him to death. And then make a romantic confession and capture him in one fell swoop. I was so excited that I raised my fist. Capture him. So what talent do you have? I blurted out. Who? Vicky. 20 when my mom was young. She liked youth pain literature. The extremely painful kind. To set off her pain, she took a fancy to the who. As soon as the sound of the who came out, it immediately caused hearternecting and agonizing pain. It was the kind of pain where it snowed in June and the protagonist was still playing the who and begging in the snow. So she let me learn the who. I started learning it when I was 6 years old and studied for a full 10 years. It wasn't until I entered high school that my mom stopped me for fear of affecting my studies. After careful consideration, I finally decided on my performance program Erhu Solo and the Peace Confession Balloon. Although I've learned it for 10 years. After all, I haven't touched it for more than a year, and my hands are still a bit rusty. But fortunately, there's still more than half a month. I can practice slowly. So every night at home, it started to be painful. It was extremely heart-wrenching and agonizing. The neighbors knocked on the door one after another to express their protests. To solve this problem, I wisely chose to practice while wearing earplugs. In this way I couldn't hear the neighbors knocking on the door. As a result, my mom grabbed me by the ear and threw me into the deserted garden in the community. She actually told me that she is no longer in pain now. She is in menopause. Damn. 21 Leo. Will you go and watch the school anniversary performance tomorrow? During the break, I pulled Leo's sleeve and asked. No. He immediately refused and took back his sleeve from my hand. I knew it. This guy is never enthusiastic about group activities. Every time there is a group activity, he would rather play ball or sleep in the classroom than participate. But I've been feeding mosquitoes in the garden for more than half a month for practicing my program. How can I allow him not to go? If he doesn't go, I will definitely beg him hard. But I also signed up for a program. Please go and watch my performance. Okay? Please. I looked at him eagerly with sincere big eyes. He glanced at me. You? What program? It's a secret. You'll know when you come and watch, I said with a smile. He withdrew his gaze. After a while, he gave a lazy and soft thumb, and then lay down on the desk to sleep. Then you agreed? I was immediately overjoyed. So you will watch my performance, right? I excitedly shook his sleeve. Then you promise that you must come. You can't stand me up. Whoever doesn't come is a puppy. His beautiful peach blossom eyes impatiently opened a slit, and daggers shot out at me from inside. If you make any more noise, I won't go. I immediately withdrew my hand and made a zipping motion on my mouth. He closed his eyes again. After a while, I unzipped my mouth again and added in an extremely soft voice, you must come. 22 at noon the next day. When I came back from the restroom, I met a junior schoolgirl who was delivering a love letter to Leo at the door of our class. Since she couldn't find the right person, she handed the letter to me. Since becoming his desk mate, I finally experienced the feeling of receiving love letters until my hands were soft. Although they were all love letters from potential rivals, I still handed them over to Leo every time. After all, I was once a member of the love letter army. Imagine how heartbroken it would be if the love letter I racked my brains to write didn't reach the right person. We are all people who have been through the rain. Why hurt each other? Fortunately, Leo throws them directly into the trash can every time. He not only fulfills my morality but also strangles the rivals in the cradle. Truly worthy of you, Leo. I happily held the love letter and looked for him everywhere. He is usually sleeping in the classroom at this time. I walked around and finally found someone at the corner at the end of the corridor. But there was also a girl in front of him. She is actually the school's recognized campus beauty. An alarm bell immediately rang in my mind. I hid behind the corner with a solemn expression to spy on the situation. 23 Say something quickly if there's anything. Leo frowned slightly and seemed not very happy. The campus beauty had a sweet voice and asked shyly. Tonight is the school anniversary. I will play the piano. Can you come and watch my performance? This guy Leo didn't even think about it. Without a second of hesitation, he said, no. The campus beauty was stunned. Probably she also didn't expect him to refuse so bluntly. For a moment, she stood awkwardly in place and didn't know what to say. Unfortunately, I could only see her back and couldn't see her wonderful expression at this time. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving, Leo said and was about to leave. The campus beauty actually blocked him again and stopped him. With a tone of grievance, she said, but I perform especially for you. What does it have to do with me? Also, Leo's brows furrowed even tighter. Who are you? Then I saw the campus beauty petrified on the spot. Then she covered her face and ran away crying. As expected of you. Leo. You kill people invisibly. For words made the campus beauty burst into tears on the spot. Seeing that he refused so bluntly, I breathed a sigh of relief. But the next second, I couldn't help feeling sympathetic for the same kind of people. Although I have always boasted that I am somewhat good-looking, I also know clearly that I am not as beautiful as the campus beauty. She is so beautiful but was rejected by him without hesitation. Then what about me? While sighing, Leo suddenly appeared in front of me. Haven't you watched enough of the show? 24. I was startled and immediately turned around to run. Who knew there was a wall behind me and I almost bumped into it? Fortunately, Leo grabbed the back of my collar. I turned around in a sorry state. What do you mean by bumping into the wall, when you see me? Leo looked speechless. She. What on earth do you want to say? I felt that his patience had reached its limit. Will you really come and watch my performance tonight? I asked tentatively with both expectation and worry. He even refused the campus beauty's request. Was his promise to me yesterday just teasing me? The young man in front of me curved his lips faintly and put his hand on the wall beside my head. Do you want me to go that much? Yes. Why? As he spoke, his face gradually approached me. Is this a wall-banging pose? Is he going to kiss me? So nervous. My heart is about to jump out. He got closer and closer to me. Even so close that I could feel his gentle breathing. I closed my eyes abruptly. In TV shows, people close their eyes when kissing, right? 25. For a long time, the expected kiss didn't come. Instead, there was a soft laugh in front of me. I nervously opened one eye and saw Leo's face trying to hold back laughter. He tricked me. So embarrassing. Woo woo woo. Just when I wanted to bump into the wall again, he suddenly raised his hand and ruffled my hair. Don't worry. I will definitely come. There was still a faint smile on his face. A gentle expression I had never seen before. At that moment, the sunlight fell behind the young man, outlining a circle of golden light. The young man I like seemed to be glowing. My heart has never been so throbbing. Then, why didn't you go when that girl invited you just now? I tentatively asked with full expectation, longing to hear evidence from his mouth that could prove I am special. Her? I don't know her, Leo said casually. I was stunned. The girlish feelings were slapped to death on the wall by this guy. So he promised to come and watch my performance just because he knows me? Alas. Although I know that what I expect won't happen, I still can't help feeling disappointed and lonely. Let's go. After he said that, he turned and walked towards the classroom. I chased after him and handed out a love letter. This is for you. Looking at the pink heart on the envelope, he raised his eyebrows. Did you write it? I quickly waved my hands. No. It's from a junior schoolgirl for you. I'm just passing it on for her. He immediately returned to an expressionless face and didn't look at that love letter again. Then throw it away. 26. Backstage of the school auditorium. I held the air hoop and anxiously looked at the entrance. Vicky trotted in, looking helpless. Hasn't he come yet? I asked unwillingly. She shook her head. No. Are you sure he will come? Your program is almost up. I pursed my lips and thought of Leo's promise. I said firmly. He will. He said he would definitely come. Actually, I'm not that firm either. I'll go look for him. Vicky grabbed me. It's your turn next. I just want to take a look. Just as I was about to go out, the teacher stopped me. Summer, where are you going? It's almost your turn. There's only 1 minute left. Go and get ready. I was pulled all the way to the back of the stage curtain by the teacher. The previous program ended quickly. After the host announced my program, there was a burst of laughter from the audience. I stood on the stage and slowly scanned the audience seats in the auditorium. No. Leo didn't come. Suddenly, I felt that the performance had lost its meaning. The music started playing. I mechanically began to play the air who. My eyes, however, were constantly fixed on the entrance. Leo, will you come? Even if you come in the last second of my performance, I will consider that you haven't broken your promise. Okay? But until I played the last note, I stood up, bowed to take my curtain call, and the curtain slowly closed in front of me. At the last second, that person still didn't appear. 27 I left the stage dejectedly. Vicky understood the final result as soon as she saw my expression. Summer. She came up to me and didn't know what to say to comfort me. Leo. He clearly promised me in person that he would definitely come. He won't deceive me. Perhaps. Perhaps he suddenly had something that he couldn't get away from? Yes. It's possible. In any case, I have to ask him in person. Thinking of this, I thrust the air into Vicky's arms. I'll go find him and ask him clearly. After saying that, I turned around and ran out of the backstage. At this moment, people on campus are all gathered in the auditorium. There are few pedestrians on the road. I run all the way towards the teaching building. The classroom is on the 5th floor. I climbed up panting, but on the 3rd floor, I suddenly heard Leo's voice. Don't run back alone next time. Your parents will worry. His voice actually carried a hint of tenderness that I had never felt before. When he talked to me, he was always cold. I involuntarily lightened and my steps and slowly moved up. I did it all just to see you. And you're still scolding me. The girl's tone was full of cockathiousness. I'm just afraid something will happen to you, Leo said, as if coaxing her. That thing I told you just now. You still haven't answered me, the girl said happily. Let's take the same college entrance exam and go to the same university. Then we won't have to be separated in the future. Whatever you want. Leo, can you be more serious? I sneaked back this time, just to tell you that I want to take the same college entrance exam as you and go to the same university. You are really. The voice disappeared. I finally reached the 4th floor. Looking up, what I saw was the scene of Leo kissing a girl with his back against the wall. It was like a thunderbolt exploding in my mind. I quickly lowered my head and raised my hand to cover my mouth. A wave of soreness rushed up to the tip of my nose crazily. And tears welled up all at once. Does he already have a girlfriend? Suddenly, I was so sad that I could hardly breathe. I immediately turned around and fled. 28 I rushed out of the teaching building. Tears had already flooded. I walked and cried alone, not knowing where to go. I just kept walking forward with my head down, not choosing my path carefully. I ran into Vicky, who was chasing after me. Seeing me in such a state, she hugged me in surprise and said, Summer, what's wrong? What happened? I sobbed. And even my words came out intermittently. Leo, he has a girlfriend from another school. I just saw them together. He was so gentle to her that it made me jealous. He was always cold usually. I thought he was just this kind of person. It turns out that it's just because the person he warms is not me. What? Leo actually. Vicky was extremely angry. I didn't expect him to be such a person. On one hand, he promised you to come and watch your performance. On the other hand, he's in a relationship with someone else. He's really a jerk and a liar. Summer, we don't like this kind of person anymore. Let him go as far as possible. But I just like him. I couldn't stop crying. If someone took a picture of me at this moment, I would definitely be disgusted by my ugly appearance of crying loudly with my mouth wide open. Don't cry anymore. It's not worth crying for a jerk. We don't care about him. 20 Vicky is right. Leo is a big liar. It's not worth it for him. But how can liking someone stop just because you want it to? I locked myself in my room and was miserable all night. The bits and pieces of my interactions with Leo during this period kept playing repeatedly in my mind. It turns out that I have always been stumbling after him, humbly begging him to look back at me. A single glance from him is enough to make me happy for a long time. But does he know at all that I will also get tired? I will also cry and feel wronged. But when I am wronged, no one cares and no one comforts me. Leo, I don't want to like you anymore. I really don't want to like you anymore. That night, I fell asleep crying. I probably understand a little bit what is meant by youthful pain. It really hurts. 30 I began to deliberately avoid Leo. I no longer took the initiative to talk to him. No longer asked him questions. As soon as class was over, I left my seat and stayed with Vicky. Leo's look at me became a bit strange. But he didn't say anything. It turns out that the connection between the two of us was all maintained by me unilaterally. Now that I take the initiative to end this relationship, the illusion of those pleasant interactions before is instantly broken. It seems that Leo and I have become as strange as we were at the beginning. It turns out that I have never really been close to him at all. Leo, I'm so stupid. On the third day of distancing myself from Leo, when I was about to leave my seat again after class, he reached out and stopped me. Why have you been avoiding me these days? He frowned, looking rather displeased. I forced out a fake smile. No, you're overthinking. Do you think I'm stupid? He looked speechless. Really? I said. Are you angry because I didn't go to watch your performance that day? He turned his face slightly awkwardly. Actually that day. Really not. Leo. I still maintained a smile that I thought was decent. It doesn't matter. You don't need to explain. I didn't want to hear him tell the truth. Nor did I want to hear him make up a lie to deceive me. I also didn't know what exactly I wanted to hear. In the end, I just pushed away his hand and fled in a panic. 31 I can't look at Leo every day anymore. If this continues, I will go crazy. The next day, I asked the class teacher to change my seat. At first, he didn't agree. But he couldn't resist my persistent persuasion and finally had to agree. After school in the afternoon, I was blocked by Leo in the stairwell. His face was extremely gloomy. As if I owed him millions. Why change seats? I evaded guiltily and casually made up an excuse. The next semester will be senior year. I'm afraid I will affect your study. He was probably extremely angry. Do you think you can affect my study? That's right. He is a god of learning. After being his desk mate for 3 months, I haven't seen him love studying much. He either sleeps or plays games. It seems that he can get the first place without much effort. To him, I am just a noisy ordinary classmate. How can I affect his study? I immediately changed my words, afraid of affecting my study. He looked at me with cool eyes. If improving your grades from more than 1,000 to more than 800 is also considered an influence, then I did affect your study. The third monthly exam report card that was just issued not long ago. I got 821st place. What temper are you throwing? I apologize to you for what happened that day. Okay? I was silent for a while. And my nose started to tingle again. I lowered my head and said sullenly, "Don't ask. I'm not throwing a temper. There is no reason. I just don't want to be your desk mate anymore." I raised my head and saw his face was dark and his eyes were as sharp as knives. He seemed really angry. Probably as a god of learning and school grass. The treasure in the teacher's hands, and the object of pursuit by classmates. He has never been treated like this before. Did I say it too harshly? My heart ached in waves. Finally, he said, "Okay. Summer. This is what you said. Don't regret it." "Yes. I said it." He sneered, turned around and left without looking back. I watched his rapidly disappearing back and didn't come to my senses for a long time. Tito probably really unable to stand seeing me looking mournful day by day. Vicky found a handsome junior and gave him to me. A handsome guy's hurt can only be cured by another handsome guy. This is Vicky's wisdom. I deeply think it makes sense. In fact, it's mainly because thinking about Leo's affairs every day makes me almost really depressed. Sometimes just meeting him in the classroom aisle. His indifferent eyes can hurt me for a long time. I think it's good to distract myself. So I agreed to meet the junior. The junior is really good looking. But why when I look at him? My mind is still full of Leo. 33 at noon. We had lunch in the cafeteria together. The junior suddenly looked at my mouth and said with a smile, "Senior sister. There is something on your mouth." I subconsciously raised my hand to touch it. "Don't move." The junior stopped me and took out a piece of paper and reached out. Before the tissue in his hand could touch the corner of my mouth, suddenly there was a loud bang from the table next to us, attracting the attention of people nearby. I turned my head and saw Leo looking at me with a gloomy face. At just one glance, he picked up the plate that he hadn't touched much and left his seat. Strangely, he never comes to the cafeteria to eat normally. Right? Senior sister. What's wrong with you? The junior asked in surprise. Nothing. I took a tissue and wiped my mouth. I'll do it myself. Third tie for the next evening. I took a walk on campus with the junior. He was finding topics all the way, and I politely responded to his remarks. In fact, I didn't really want to chat that much. My thoughts couldn't help drifting away. Was Leo in the same mood when I pestered him? When he is with me, is he also so absent-minded? Thinking about someone else in his heart? I was thinking restlessly when we walked all the way to the basketball court. The junior suddenly grabbed me. "Be careful." A basketball flew past in front of me and hit the opposite wall with a bang. Then I saw Leo in a basketball jersey coming over. He picked up the basketball expressionlessly and returned to the court. He didn't look at me at all from beginning to end. Not even a glance. His few brothers who were playing basketball together seemed to recognize me. Probably seeing Leo's ambiguous attitude towards me, their eyes glanced back and forth between me and him, seemingly not knowing whether they should say hello to me. Why is this person so impolite? The junior complained, dissatisfied lie. It doesn't matter to me. Let's go. I quickly pulled him and left the court quickly with my head down. 35 on the third day after school. The junior accompanied me home by bus. There were a bit many people on the bus. I was jostled around. Suddenly, someone came up behind me and separated everyone else, leaving me a small space. I finally could catch my breath. "Thank you, Junie." I turned around and looked up. The word "or" was stuck in my throat. It was actually Leo. Then what about the junior? I turned my head in shock and saw the junior being squeezed into another corner, only showing a head, looking desolate. Leo didn't look at me, looking as if he didn't notice anyone in front of him at all. "Thank you." I lower my head. I am so close to him that my nostrils are filled with his scent. Why? When I have already made up my mind to give him up, do I keep running into him everywhere? Is God joking with me? "Why aren't you riding your bike today?" I ask, summoning my courage. "It's broken and being repaired." He answers coldly. "So, that's it. Summer. Summer. Didn't you say you would give up? What on earth are you still expecting?" 36 After spending some time with my junior, I finally realized that it's not that I like handsome guys. I just like Leo. I made things clear to my junior and apologized to him. He wasn't angry. Instead, he said that if there's anything in the future, I can still look for him and he'll always be available. When Vicky found out, she grabbed me and said angrily, "Summer. For you, I sacrificed a whole 1,000 yuan to entice my cousin to rescue you. You, this love-struck person, just want to hang yourself on one tree, right?" I widened my eyes. "Your junior is your cousin?" Vicky gave me a look and said with a pained expression, "Otherwise? Where do you think I could find such a handsome guy for you so easily with so much face? What a waste of my 1,000 yuan. No wonder my junior is so easy to talk to. I thought my charm had suddenly increased and I could flirt without anyone noticing. It turns out it's for 1,000 yuan. This life is really damn dramatic. The attention diversion method has declared bankruptcy. I suspect Leo may have settled down in my heart. Not only has he settled down, But he has also locked the doors and windows and thrown away the key and won't come out no matter what. Well, how could it be so easy to forget? I had a crush on Leo since I entered high school in my first year. He is so radiant that I only dared to secretly look up at him from a corner. It wasn't until my second year that I confessed under Vicky's encouragement. Unexpectedly, I became his desk mate by some twist of fate. It feels like this period of time is like a dream. Now the dream is over and it should end. But I didn't expect that forgetting this dream is much harder than starting it. 37. The last class is chemistry. The teacher takes us to the laboratory to do experiments. Since I am on duty, I stay behind alone to clean the classroom after it ends. Cleaning the chemistry laboratory is the most troublesome. There are always some people who don't clean up after using the laboratory bench or don't return the reagents. So I have to return all the reagents first. Then tidy up all the laboratory benches. And finally sweep and mop the floor. By the time I finish dealing with everything, I am so tired that I can't even straighten my back. Thinking that there's nothing to do anyway when I go back, I simply pull a few chairs together and lie down to rest. The laboratory is so quiet. Not a sound can be heard. Only my own shallow breathing remains. When I have nothing to do, I can't help but think of Leo. My chest feels stuffy. Probably because I've been losing sleep recently due to his matter, and I'm seriously lacking sleep. As I lie there, I actually fall asleep. When I wake up again, the world is pitch black. I'm afraid of the dark. I hurriedly get up and nervously feel my way over to turn on the light. Click, click, click. I press the light switch several times in a row, but it doesn't turn on. I remember now. To prevent people from forgetting to turn off the lights and wasting electricity, the laboratory building will cut off power at night. I quickly go to push the door. And then I am horrified to find that the door is locked. Because there are chemical reagents in the chemistry laboratory, the security guard will come to lock the door every day. Maybe he didn't see me lying under the table and locked it directly. I panic and slap the door hard and shout loudly. Open the door. Is there anyone? Uncle Security. Open the door. There's still someone here. But even though I almost shout myself hoarse, no one hears me. What should I do? Am I going to stay here all night? Looking at the pitch black surroundings, as if there are terrifying ghosts hidden everywhere, my back is chilled with fear. I lean against the wall, inch by inch move to the corner, slowly squat down, hug my knees with both hands, and curl myself up into a ball, unable to hold back my tears. What should I do? It's so dark here and there's no one. I'm so scared. I want to go home. Mom and Dad, when will you come and find me? Leo, save me. 38. After a long time, when I have cried until I have no more tears, suddenly footsteps come from outside the door. Thump, 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 soft and rustling, approaching step by step. My heart suddenly tightens. Could it be a ghost? I hold my breath and even forget to cry out of fear. Finally, the footsteps stop at the laboratory door. Don't come in. Don't come in. Thump, thump, thump. A ghost outside knocks on the door a few times. Is this ghost so polite? Before I have time to think more, a voice comes from outside the door. Summer. Are you in there? Summer? It's actually Leo's voice. Like someone who has survived a disaster, I shout hurriedly. I am here. Leo, save me. I'm locked in. Woo woo woo. Wait a moment. I'll go find the key. Be quick. I'm so scared. I urge anxiously. Don't be afraid. I'll be back soon. After saying that, he rushes away. Before long, the footsteps sound again. I hear the sound of a keychain clinking. Immediately after, the door opens. By the faint moonlight, I see Leo appear at the door. Leo, I am here. I excitedly try to stand up, but I have squatted for too long, and my legs are numb. I actually fall forward directly. I instinctively closed my eyes. However, The expected pain didn't appear. Instead, I fell into a warm embrace. Leo's embrace. I immediately reached out and hugged him, smearing my tears and snot on him. You finally came. I've been waiting for you for so long. I was so scared. I was really so scared. I thought I would stay here all night. He hugged me back, his tone rarely gentle. It's okay. It's okay. 39. I cried in Leo's arms for a long time, and finally gradually stopped crying. Fear slowly receded, and clarity in my mind gradually returned. At this time, I suddenly realized that the person I was tightly hugging seemed to be someone else's boyfriend. A strong sense of immorality welled up. I quickly let go of him, and said awkwardly, "Sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean it just now. I was just too scared." He made a lone nasal sound, and I didn't know what it meant. I took a step back. "Thank you. I'll go first." Just as I was about to run away, I was stopped by the young man in front of me. "You want to run away after using someone?" He seemed a little dissatisfied. "No. I didn't mean that." I quickly waved my hands. He took a step towards me. "Then what do you mean?" I pushed by him. I kept retreating until my back was against the wall, and there was no way to retreat. Thumber. Even when sentencing someone to death, you have to give a charge. What crime have I committed? Tell me. The young man in front of me frowned, with a hint of anger and reluctance hidden between his eyebrows. I looked up at him in confusion. "What do you mean? Why have you been avoiding me recently? And you even dared to change seats? What do you mean? Didn't you like me? Don't you like me so soon? Or have you fallen in love with someone else? That little kid in a lower grade?" He was very unhappy. A series of questions almost stunned me. "No. I don't like him," I quickly explained. As soon as the words came out, I felt that the low pressure around the person in front of me seemed to dissipate by more than half. But he still frowned. "So why are you avoiding me? You already have a girlfriend. How can I still have the nerve to keep pestering you? Do I want to be that immoral woman?" He looked confused. "Who told you I have a girlfriend?" 40. I saw it myself. On the school anniversary day. In the stairwell. He thought for a while, as if he suddenly remembered it just now, and said, "That girl is my former neighbor. Their family moved to another place last year. That day she came back to find me by herself. I was afraid that her parents would worry, so I had to accompany her. But I clearly saw you kissing," I said, unconvinced. He narrowed his eyes. "So the person who ran downstairs that day was you?" I was found out." I nervously picked at my fingers. "Are you stupid? Who told you we were kissing?" At that time, she, like some people, wanted to sneak attack me. I just stopped her. "Some people. It seems to be referring to me." I looked at him, blinked, and was so embarrassed that I could dig a hole with my toes. Is that so?" Otherwise what else could it be? "Summer. You really are something. For such a small matter. You've been making a fuss with me for so long. Are you sure I'm into you?" Leo said through gritted teeth. I was confused. "What do you mean by into me?" The clouds dispersed, and the moonlight was bright. The young man's eyes had a touch of thin redness. "It means what you think it means. Didn't you want to kiss me? You can kiss me. Don't leave anymore. Okay?" His voice was slightly hoarse, and the ending sound was so alluring that it was as if a feather had brushed across one's heart. Let me kiss. Does Leo mean that he likes me?" However, before I could react, his face rapidly enlarged in front of me, and a pair of soft lips landed on mine. Something in my mind instantly exploded. So, it was fireworks. 41. Unexpectedly. Just a few days ago, I was tossing and turning and unable to sleep because of my first love that ended before it even started. Today, Leo has become my boyfriend. Oh, no. It should be said that he is a quasi-boyfriend. Because we are only high school students now, we should still put learning first. Leo said that we can be together after the college entrance examination. So in order not to be in a long-distance relationship as soon as we start dating, I decided to. Well, it's relatively difficult to get into the same school as him. Let's consider being in the same city. With his grades, he will definitely go to Tsinghua University in the future. So I also want to take the college entrance examination and go to a university in Beijing. It would be best if the campus could be closer to him. So I excitedly open the map and search for Tsinghua University. 5 minutes later, I looked at Peking University, Renmin University of China, Beijing Institute of Technology, and Beijing Normal University on the map and fell into deep thought. Heaven! Is there really no school around Tsinghua University that I can get into? 40 to not long after, we both entered our senior year and officially started the miserable life of graduating class. In the first semester of Senior 3, Leo was admitted to Tsinghua University in advance because of the physics competition. His graduating class life ended after only 1 month. To prevent us from being in a long-distance relationship in the future, he began to give me devilish tutoring. We studied from morning to night every day. Reciting, doing exercises, and taking exams took turns. I was almost bald from studying. But for some reason, I didn't find it unbearable. Instead, I was full of energy every day. I wished I could tie my hair to a beam and jab my thigh with an AWL and study for 25 hours a day. This scared my mom so much that she didn't sleep well for half a month, fearing that I was possessed. But indeed, having a boyfriend who is a top student is great. Under his full guidance, my grades have improved rapidly at a visible speed. From being ranked 800 at the end of sophomore year, I soared all the way. 650, 520, 433, 362. I am delighted with every bit of progress. Because every progress brings me closer to him. In the last mock exam before the college entrance examination, I got into the top 50 in my grade for the first time. The dean looked at me more satisfactorily than looking at his own son and praised me extravagantly in front of the whole school as a model student. During the days of struggle, time always passes quickly. In the blink of an eye, the college entrance examination came. That day, Leo sent me to the school gate. I waved to him and walked into the test site. With every step, I was as firm as ever. No matter what the result is, I will not be afraid. Because being with you, I have become a better version of myself. I don't want the person I love to fall into the mortal world to accompany me. I want to stand by his side and enjoy the most beautiful scenery on the mountaintop together.